Hi, everybody. I'm Ashley Elliott. I'm one of the Legal Marketing Association CI-SIG co-chairs for 2023. Welcome to the very first CI Practitioners Corner, a video series where we'll hear from law firm CI professionals on a variety of topics. Today, we'll be talking to Lee Gibson. Anne has been a great influence on my career in CI, and I'm so glad to welcome her here today. Want to say a little bit about Anne, who over the years I have referred to kindly as my CI fairy godmother. She's wonderful. I love speaking with her, and I'm delighted to have the opportunity today to get a little time with her and a little bit of information about the history of law firm CI. So Anne was a law firm consultant from 1998 through 2015, but she's been practicing CI in some form or fashion since 1990. Through her work, she's helped firms win over $900 million in new business before consulting and led the marketing and BD functions at Nossaman and Gibson Dunn. She's also spent a great deal of time training CI practitioners on the function and helped many law firms set up their CI offerings. Beyond that, she's been a speaker in the legal marketing space for a long time and has given us a good amount of knowledge. And today I'd like to borrow a little bit more from her. So we have a little bit of a lightning round here with Anne. So I wanted to ask Anne, can you tell us a little bit about how you got into CI?
Yes, I got into CI because I didn't know that CI wasn't part of law firm marketing, which I quickly defined as let's make some money. And in that sense, my CI work was about really about helping us understand better whom we were competing with, what we were competing for, and what the preferences and prejudices and biases of the buyers were. So that was how I got into CI. And obviously, it was very tactical. It was, let's make some money right now. I also got early on into client service interviews and started doing them in 1992. The other thing I did, which was really helpful, was to do a debrief interview with the client after every single interview. After every single competition that we did, whether it was a proactive or an RFP experience, to learn if we won, why we won and why nobody else did. And if we lost, more importantly, if we lost, why the winner won. And those interviews led to me developing, because I have a real data background and a real analytical background, a lot of information about the competitive arena, our competitors and our prospective and current clients.
That's awesome. And so you had told me a little bit about kind of how you started to gather information in the earlier days and kind of what you did as far as human intelligence and reaching out to individuals. Can you tell me a little bit more about your data collection process and when you were building your own CI function, how you started to identify resources?
Well, early on, as I indicated, it was very human intel oriented. Obviously, remember in 1990, there was, as you may have read in history books, no internet. And we had LexisNexis, which gave access for us to news articles. So that certainly let us read anything that reporters and journalists had put in print. So that was useful. And obviously, we could read periodicals from client industries, things like that. So that was also available to us. But that was pretty much it. Yeah. Also, another big point, just one additional point there was that was at a time when there were fewer than 5 years of AmLaw 100 data. There was just no AmLaw 100 data until 1987. So I was building everything in Word documents, Excel spreadsheets, and in my own brain.
Yeah, and knocking on partners' doors and going down the hall. I mean, literally
yes.
digging under rocks for information. But I think this is an interesting point and interesting thing, thinking about, 1990 through, the time that anybody has created a CI function. I mean, a lot of us have kind of been in the space of, okay, let's look around. What do we have available? Let's be innovative. Let's be creative. Let's build tools internally at our own law firms. And I think, you're a great example of, how to do that and how to be smart about that. You used a term called law firm math. And law firm math, it was an interesting take on competitive intelligence. I'd love to hear you
Yeah.
kind of explain law firm math to us.
Right. So I was doing CI, I thought, really early on, and I just didn't know what to call it. I did hear about something called SKIP, the which stood for something different than what it now stands for, the Society of Competitive Intelligence Professionals, which I joined as soon as I realized that was what they were talking about that I was doing. But in 1998 was when I was a brand new consultant, fresh out of Gibson Dunn. I gave a presentation to the San Francisco chapter of LMA that I called Law Firm Marketing Math. And I used some AmLaw data to, like a workshop for the members of that chapter, to identify which firms. I had the names of the firms all masked, and I had, collected, by then I had a lot more data about the AmLaw, crowd, and asked them to answer questions about which one of these unnamed firms seemed to be succeeding better and whatnot. And I was really hoping to really welcome and challenge people who hadn't been English majors because they hated arithmetic, to recognize that it was time for us to get very analytical about what was happening in our space. So that's why I called it law firm marketing math. And then pretty soon after that, I said, this is something called competitive intelligence.
Yeah.
And eventually, by the way, in 2010, I actually did write a book about law firm competitive intelligence, and with a great focus on developing strategy and strategic decision making, because that's where eventually we all went. Was, yes, we got to make money this week, but boy, we got to figure out what we're going to be in 2 years, 5 years.
No, I think that makes sense. And I mean, I love the term law firm math, because I mean, it's essentially like the business intelligence and the quantitative side of, what we're all doing now. I mean, like you look at the numbers of your own law firm, you look at the external information, you see how it all marries together. There are a lot of conversations within CI about how to smartly use Excel for competitive intelligence, how to use Tableau, how to use Power BI. So the evolution of, using the business intelligence and those analytics, it's come a long way, and it's going even further with, technologies that are still emerging. But I think it's cool to hear the use of competitive intelligence in the law firm space. And did we tie a year? Did we say it was around 1990 that you were practicing competitive intelligence? But when would you say it was first mentioned, maybe in a legal marketing association or other conference?
Well, definitely around the year 2000. I can't, nothing specific comes to mind, but at that time, I was working with a number of, okay, let me rewind. My first reputation, so to speak, in the legal realm, in the legal marketing realm was, this is embarrassing to say. My friends call me the proposal queen, because I just thought, I found out that RFP responses by law firms were just unbelievably disgusting. I thought my firms were responses were bad, and I kind of got to the point where I wouldn't let anybody else write the proposal. It helps to be a control freak in this realm, as you all know. So that's really the space in which CI really started becoming known. Again, very, very tactical, because that's what I was consulting in, as well as, I mean, that's really the CI was doing initially, was in service to. As law firm marketers got more involved in strategy development for law firms, those of you who have been around for at least 10 years, understand and appreciate that development. They go, well, if you guys really did help us on this, maybe you ought to be a part of a conversation about, what we're going to do next. So that's really how and when it really got going. Help me remember, when did the ARC group start having their CI conferences in New York City? They did that every year. Maybe you're still doing it. I don't know, because that's where I met you, Ashley.
Yeah, we met around 2009, and that was the first that I had attended. I know it had been
There were,
going on many years before that, and they're still
I'm
going
gonna think,
strong. Yeah,
good. I'm really glad those were great conferences. I'm thinking 2006, 2007. And that's so by that point, in order for the art group to have been putting on a CI conference for law firms, you got to know we were going and blowing on CI within LMA and within the profession way before that in order for them to recognize that they had a market there.
yeah, that's awesome. Well,
Yeah.
we're getting a little bit close on our
Yeah.
time, so
Right.
I did want to get us into sort of the last question was what should a good CI practitioner or analyst be doing kind of every day or every week as just a general rule?
Oh boy. I would say they should be functioning as as an internal consultant because they are internal consultants, every one of them. They should be consulting with, and by when I say consulting with, I mean also listening loudly to their colleagues within legal marketing to understand what's hot, what's active in their spaces. And they should become effective internal consultants to the partners and the leadership groups within the firm that they are serving. And by that, I mean, they need to ask, as I know you and I have talked about before, this is happening much more than it used to. They have to ask their internal clients, because that's what the partners and the leadership groups are, their internal clients. If you had this information or these insights from me/us that you think you need or want, how would you use that information? What would you do differently? What would surprise you? What would you not have known before you heard it? So that you can involve them in a conversation, because it's got to be a collaboration. All of this, any consulting is collaboration between the consultant and their clients.
Totally
So that
agree.
would be my big advice.
I think that's the
That's it.
perfect thing. I mean, to be able to just like put yourself in a position to be able to actively listen and then draw back those
Yes.
insights to who needs them to make the thing
Mm-hmm.
happen.
Right. And
And
then they will wind up in your office, pulling up a chair in front of your desk and start telling you stuff you didn't even know you needed to know.
that's right. That's when you know you're doing the thing right. That's awesome.
That's right.
Well, thank you so much, Anne. This has been fantastic. Really
Thank you,
appreciate you
Leslie.
being in the first CI Practitioners Corner, and we hope to have several more coming soon, and we hope everyone will
Mm-hmm.
tune in. Thank you again to Anne, and we'll see you on the next one.
Thank you, dear.